Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Paige. I am a 27-year-old wife and mother of my almost 3-year-old Scarlett and my baby that is currently about 38 weeks along, named Charlie. And my daughter heard me start talking, so she will be coming in here. So I'm just going to jump right into this because it's going to be a long video because I feel like a 6-day labor and delivery story is going to be a long video, and I've already tried to record this and my camera cut off and I thought I caught it in time and I didn't. It's just been a mess and I forgot to put lipstick on. So yeah, I'm going to do a labor and delivery story because obviously with my firstborn I will not be able to film a labor and delivery vlog with my second, and I didn't have a YouTube channel with my first. So I am having a C-section and I just really don't want the cameras really, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable, and I'm sure my husband doesn't either, with filming our delivery and all that fun stuff. I mean, I don't even think we can with a C-section. So labor and delivery with my firstborn, Scarlett. Little backstory, on the actual pregnancy, I don't want to go into too much detail because then we'd be here forever. It's not the easiest pregnancy. I had morning sickness, and towards the end, about where I am now in my current pregnancy, I started gaining a lot of water weight. My feet, my hands, my legs, my ankles, my face, everything was just really swelled. And my blood pressure started to go up a little bit. So at about like 37 weeks, I think I got tested for preeclampsia, which I tested negative for, so it was all okay. But the last couple weeks of my pregnancy were miserable. I'm definitely doing much better this pregnancy, but it was just not an easy pregnancy. And I would say my pregnancy this time around was worse in the beginning, but at the end it's been much better, versus my pregnancy with Scarlett was bad in the beginning too, but it was a little better, but it was horrible at the end. So anyways, I went to my doctor that I've been going to since I was little. Well, not little, but since I started going to a doctor for a gyno, basically. She actually delivered me. So she had been my mom's doctor for at least 30 years, so we had pretty good rapport with her. She basically watched me grow up. But I will say she is close to retirement, and I just feel like my patient care with her was not the greatest. I think she's a great doctor, but I just feel like it kind of lacked with me towards the end of my pregnancy. I never really saw her for appointments. I always saw her nurse practitioner, who I loved and I was okay with, but she was so busy that I never saw her. Towards the last couple weeks though, I did see her quite frequently, and my child was due on August 5th, which is kind of funny because my other child is an August baby, will be an August baby as well. So we kind of got pregnant around the same time with both of them. But her due date was August 5th, and I already felt like that was kind of a little off. I felt like it was way too early of a due date with how my period coincided, or my last period and everything. But whatever, August 5th, I was obviously not going into labor, so I went in for a doctor's appointment because they schedule you a doctor's appointment. If you don't go into labor, you get a doctor's appointment on your due date. So I went in and got checked and everything, and I was only about 1 centimeter dilated. So she went ahead and stripped my membrane to try to get labor naturally going. And she wanted me to see how I would progress over the weekend, because Wednesday, it was a Wednesday on the 5th, 2015 of August. It was a Wednesday, so she wanted to strip my membrane and see how I progressed over the weekend because she was on call. And, okay, I gotta be right back. Sorry, let's see where I was at. She was on call on the weekend, so she wanted to see how I would progress over the weekend. In case I went into labor, she would be on call. And then she scheduled me for another doctor's appointment on Monday because she was still on call on Monday. So she wanted to see if I progressed at all, if I didn't come in at all during the weekend. So of course I didn't come in during the weekend. I didn't progress. I tried walking her out. I tried eating spicy food. I tried pretty much everything you can think of to try to induce labor. I did. Nothing worked. I came in that Monday, and I had dilated to like about a 1. Like I had not dilated much. So I was, like I said, I was miserable. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it's my fault, and I also feel like as a doctor she shouldn't do, you know, what the patient wants. She should do what's best for the patient and what's best for the baby, and she knows better than me what my body was doing at that point. So her decision to let me come in to be induced, I don't think was made medically. I think it was more made because I was just miserable. So like I said, that's why I kind of feel like it's a little bit my fault for being like a baby and just wanting this baby to come out, and a little bit her fault for not putting her foot down and just, you know, saying let's let it progress naturally. That, yeah, I mean, I don't know. After my doctor's appointment, she's said if I have time tonight, I will have you come in and we will start your inducement, because I still am on call. I get home and she called me like a half hour later, because I was off work at this point, because every time I would go into work I would just not feel good and get lots of contractions and things like that. So I was planning on working until basically delivery day, but it just, I had a doctor's note, and I had to be off work because, like I said, I was swelled so bad too. So anyways, she called me and said, come on in, I can fit you in at 7 tonight, we'll start your inducement. So come in at like 6 and we'll get your paperwork started, your blood work and all that fun stuff, and then we'll start your inducement at 7. So I was so pumped at this point. I texted my husband, I'm like, we can go in, I can get induced, I'm so excited. Like, you have no idea, because I was miserable. It was just such a long pregnancy, and I just wanted it to be done, which little did I know, it was going to be a long labor too. So we get in on Monday, we go in and they do the blood work, all the paperwork, blah, 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 and they start my induction with a pill that they insert into your lady parts. TMI, sorry. And it didn't really do anything at all. Like, I wasn't getting contractions, nothing was going on. So in the middle of the night, at some point, I was there for so long that the timeline, I'm kind of like, it's kind of hard to like exactly pinpoint the timeline. But I do know I was, it was sometime in the middle of the night on Tuesday, Monday night, Tuesday morning. They started me on Pitocin. So, on a very low dosage. So it kind of got my labor started a little bit. I was starting to get, you know, more regular contractions, and some progress was happening. So sometime at Tuesday morning, when my doctor was still on call, she decided to take me off of the Pitocin and start me on, or just let me start progressing naturally into labor. So at the end of the early evening, she basically was off call. So my delivery doctor that I was planning on having my baby deliver was not on call anymore. And this is where, like, I feel like if you have a good rapport with your doctor, and if you've known her for that long, you think she would, you know, stay on and come in for you, but she did not. So this is where I kind of was very upset at this point. My labor had completely stopped when she took me off of the Pitocin. Nothing was going on. I had dilated to maybe a 2, maybe a 3 at that point. And the next doctor came in about like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was pretty much having a panic attack at that point because I was just uncomfortable. They hadn't fed me anything. I hadn't ate anything in probably like 24 hours at that point. And I was just miserable. I wanted to go home because I wasn't progressing. They kept putting me on and off things, and I just wanted to go home. And so she came in and she was really sweet. She just said I was too far along at this point, that if they sent me home, I would just probably have to come back. I lived probably about 20 minutes from our hospital at that point. And she just, you know, had to give me some Xanax, basically. I think it was Xanax, to calm me down because I was having a legit, like, hyperventilating panic attack. And she just basically couldn't let me go, but she said, I will get you started, you know, you'll have this baby. So I do credit her for actually getting my labor started. So she started me again on the Pitocin, on a very low dosage again. But her difference was she would come in every 2 hours or so, or the nurses would, and up the dosage. So it was kind of like a slow drip of just like a higher dosage of Pitocin. Every couple hours they'd up it up just to get my, you know, labor really started. She got me going. In the middle of the night I was really I was having good contractions and things like that. Come the morning I was still contracting, I was still on Pitocin, you know, I was on IVs, still hadn't ate anything. I was so hungry. So about 10 o'clock, they decided to give me my epidural because I was having regular contractions. They were very close apart. They were very severe. They were starting to hurt a little bit. Not severe. They weren't severe at that point, but they were starting to hurt at that point. So I had my epidural come in and I was getting contractions during the epidural, which is really hard to not move when you're having contractions. But I got my epidural and I was smooth sailing at that point. I felt great because, you know, no pain. I got a little bit of rest. This is where it gets a little, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't remember what time it was, and I don't know who made the decision. At this point, I don't know who my doctor was. There was 4 doctors at this hospital, 4 OBs at this hospital, and I had 3 out of the 4 for the whole delivery I was there. So this is Wednesday that I got my epidural and everything. I don't know, I can't remember who was on call at that point, but somebody made the decision, because I was getting close to like midway point, that they would take me off my epidural so I could feel the contractions. Isn't that the whole point of an epidural, is so you do not feel the contractions? Because I could feel, like, I knew when I was contracting, but it wasn't hurting, so I was doing okay. Like, I knew I was having contractions, but I was in no pain. So they took me off my epidural, which literally I still to this day do not understand, and I started to feel my contractions, which I have a very low pain tolerance. Like, very low, and I was not digging it. I was miserable. I was crying 24/7. I wanted to be done. I told my mom I was done. I didn't want to do this anymore. Labor contractions are intense. I did not handle it very well, plus especially since being there since Monday at 7 p.m. I was not handling it. Finally, after maybe a couple hours, I was just done. My mom and my husband went and found my nurse, and they're like, why is she not on her epidural? She needs to be on it. She's miserable. She's in pain. Like, I don't understand why she's not on her epidural. And at that point, I don't know what happened here, but they had no anesthesiologist on call, or like there at the hospital. So they had to call an on-call one that was 45 minutes away to come literally turn a key, because only an anesthesiologist, I guess, can start your epidural. So he came in and turned the key and flipped a switch, and it took almost an hour and a half to do so. And that was also a nice charge I had at the end of my stay, because I had to call an on-call doctor from another hospital to come turn my epidural on. So, yay. I was back feeling really good. I mean, my contractions were off the chart. I wasn't feeling them, like, pain-wise, and I was good to go again. The third doctor comes in at some point and comes in and breaks my water. At that point, before he broke my water, I was maybe a 7 dilated, and he came in and broke my water, and he said that hopefully that will get you to progress and we can get this baby out you. And maybe about 2 or 3 hours later, he comes back in to check me again, and I had only dilated to about an 8.5. So he basically, and this was about 10 o'clock at night, and he basically came in with an ultrasound and checked the baby just to make sure everything was okay with her. And he saw that basically all of my contractions, she was not getting into position. So she was hitting her head on my cervix every contraction instead of getting like into the birthing canal. So when we delivered, she had like a big line on her head because of just like the repeated hitting of my cervix. So he basically decided that we could be here for another 3 or 4 hours and try to see how you progress naturally or like on your own, but he believed that I wasn't gonna ever get to that 10 centimeters. Just the way that she was positioned and everything, he just didn't believe I was gonna get there. So he said the best suggestion would be a C-section. I heard my camera beep, so I hope I caught it when it got cut off. But I hope, please. But first time mom, I just had been there for 3.5 days at this, like 10:30 at night on Wednesday. I was done. The doctor suggested it. I didn't know any better. I was done. So I told Devin, I was like, let's just get her out. I want to make sure she comes out safe. If I'm not going to progress, I don't want her heart rate to spike. Because she was okay at that point, but I didn't want, they kind of thought, you know, her heart rate might, you know, spike if we didn't do anything. Devin and I decided to do the C-section. And I will never forget my mom, because she was going to be in the delivery room with me, and she was going to hold my leg because neither me or my husband wanted him down with all the action. He's not like the best with like that kind of stuff. He was gonna stand up by me and my mom was gonna hold my leg, and she was so excited to be a part of the labor. I'm her only daughter. She was a part of my first niece's labor, but you know, it's obviously different having your own child, you know, giving birth. Seeing me get wheeled off, and I just remember her face, and she was crying because mostly she was just crying because she was just worried about me obviously going into surgery, so you know, unplanned, and I was sad because she wasn't going to be a part of the delivery, and that is something that I still wish to this day that I could have had a VBAC delivery for this baby so she could be a part of it, but we don't have any local hospitals that do VBACs, so I would had to have driven like an hour away for this current baby. But anyways, yeah, I got down into the room, they prepped me, and literally 2 minutes later she was born. It was crazy how quick. I had so much adrenaline. I was shaking the whole time. They kept thinking I was cold, but I had so much adrenaline, and that's what was going on, so they kept covering me with blankets. It's such a weird experience going through a C-section. You're awake obviously, and you know what's going on. So they pulled her out. My husband saw her get pulled out because like the anesthesiologist told him to stand up so he could see over the curtain. And he saw everything, he said, but he just tried to focus on the baby. And they brought her around the curtain, and he started crying, and he got to hold her after they kind of cleaned her up a little bit. And he got to cut the umbilical cord that they already cut it, but they basically left a long piece of it so he could cut it. He got to hold her for a little bit, and he put her next to my head so I could see her. And it was really special. I mean, it wasn't ideal, but she came out safe. She was absolutely beautiful. I'm sure every mother says that, and I'm even sure all the nurses probably say that to multiple babies, but they kept saying how freaking beautiful she was, and it was really cool. So they got her taken care of. Again, at this point, I kind of do not remember what happened. I remember I started feeling them sewing me up. I don't remember where Scarlett was at this point. I don't remember if my husband was with me or if they had took them both into another room. I don't really remember. But I remember I started feeling them stitching me up, so I said something and they bumped up my medication, got me stitched up, took me to the recovery room, and I got to snuggle my baby and do breastfeeding for the first time, which I wasn't producing anything, which kind of sucked. Not even colostrum. I was not producing anything. She ended up being bottle fed later. That was Wednesday night into Thursday. I stayed Thursday, Friday, and they ended up releasing me Saturday morning, and I don't remember why I stayed 3 extra days basically. I don't know if it was because of the C-section falling so late on Wednesday that they just basically counted it as a Thursday C-section, and then you know you usually stay a couple days extra for a C-section. So since I was there for 6 days on IV fluids, I came home and I was literally the size of a tree. My legs from the thigh all the way down to my feet were this big. I kid you not. Like, my ankles were this big. My thighs were this big. It was just all tree trunks. My hands, my arms, everything was swelling because I was like basically getting released of all the IV fluids and it was going all down my body. So I had so much fluid. It was terrible, yeah. But I had 3 different doctors, and the one doctor I didn't have was actually the most experienced doctor with like breech babies, and he apparently does VBACs. I don't know. But anyways, he was the most experienced doctor, and I feel like if I had him, I wouldn't have probably had a C-section. He would have probably figured out how to position her correctly to get her out the birthing canal. The doctor I did have, he was a very good doctor, but I heard after I had my C-section that he doesn't really try other options. He just goes straight to the decision of C-sections. So I wish I would have maybe fought that a little bit more. But like I said, first time mom and not really knowing anything about labor and delivery, I was done at that point, so we just decided to do the C-section. So yeah, definitely a hard delivery. I was there, I labored in basically 54 hours. Obviously I wasn't like having contractions like that whole time, but for the majority I was laboring for 50 hours. But I mean, obviously I would change. I would hope I would been able to deliver vaginally, but I'm so grateful that she came out completely healthy. There was nothing wrong with her. It was just more me. She was healthy and she just came out beautiful, and we were so blessed, and it was a hard delivery, but it was worth every minute, just like all of my days that I had with her that are not easy. I still wouldn't trade anything that I've gone through to not be her mom. She's a very special girl. So yeah, that's basically the labor and delivery story. It was probably a very long one, but I want to have it on camera, and I want to tell you guys about the first one because I want to do a compare and contrast with my second one and see the differences, because I will come on here and do a labor and delivery story with our new baby that we will be having in like 12 days. Crazy. Yeah, so I want to do like a compare and contrast. So yeah, that is my labor and delivery with my firstborn. It was a fun one. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It will really help and support my channel. And if you aren't following me already, please subscribe to my channel. Again, helps me out so much. I love doing it, and I love sharing stories and things like that. So it would just mean the world to me if you guys subscribe to my channel. Other than that, I'm still trying to get my nursery put together for a nursery tour. I may try to get 1 or 2 more videos up before delivery, but I don't know. We have Scarlett's birthday this weekend, and it's just going to be really busy with baby mode. Enough rambling. I will get out of this video, so I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.